Sup, y'all? It's me. It's your boy Asmongold, and today I want to talk to you guys about a really big change that Blizzard came out with on the PTR that's going to effectively allow you to buy Legion Legendaries. Now, this is something that people have wanted ever since the alpha of Legion. So it's been over a year before they've actually added this into the game, but I guess it's better late than never. So I'm going to go ahead and explain how the system works, and then we'll talk about it a little bit. Basically, how the system is going to work is the same Awakening Essences that you get now from doing your Emissary quests, killing Antora's World Bosses, doing the PvP weekly objectives for getting 1500 honor in each bracket, doing your daily heroic. Those Awakening Essences that you take 50 of them and you upgrade a Legendary up to 1000, well, they're now going to have a second use, and that second use is that you're going to be able to take 175 of them and buy a token that's BOP that you can identify for a random legendary of that class and spec. So as an example, if I'm a Fury Warrior, I can go and I can buy a legendary from this vendor. I think it's the same vendor that sells them right now. I'm 100% sure of that because I just checked it on the PTR. But you can buy them from this vendor and you click on the item and it identifies it as a random Fury legendary as an example. So this is obviously a very, very good change. I am very happy about it. And as with anything else, guys, I've said this before, I'll say it again. It's like Blizzard can give people gold bars and people are going to complain that they're too heavy. All right. People, it doesn't matter what Blizzard does, people are going to be mad about it. And I can get that. And that's why I kind of feel like a cock for like this next part of the video that I want to talk about. But it's like this shit really drives me crazy. This has been something that people have wanted ever since the expansion came out. The legendary system has been probably the worst thing about Legion. At the beginning, it was like you were only able to get 4 legendaries, and then your bad luck protection wasn't working anymore. And they actually had the logic. They were basically giving you good luck protection to artificially keep players in line, and they wouldn't have even needed to do that if the legendaries weren't completely overpowered based on each other or, you know, comparatively to each other in the first place. But besides that, it's been a terrible system, and I think it's indicative of a very toxic game design philosophy that Blizzard has used a little bit in Warlords of Draenor, but especially a lot more now in Legion. We've seen a lot of systems and a lot of not just catch-up mechanisms like this, but quality of life changes that have been artificially extended and not added into the game at the beginning to where people would progress through them without the quality of life changes, and then Blizzard would add them later on in order to artificially create content and drive people back to doing that same stuff. And you also have things where Blizzard is pretty much adding incentives to go back and do the exact same thing over again just by creating very compelling rewards for that. A good example of that is the Legendary upgrade system in itself. There is no reason why you have to upgrade a Legendary from 970 to 1000. There is literally no reason for that. It makes no sense at all, and it's purely done to retain players and to keep people playing the game. It adds no gameplay value. It really has no decision-making value, especially if you're like changing your specs. It just makes things more difficult, and there's literally no positives to it unless you want to look at pure adding players into the game. And I feel like whenever you're adding and you're keeping people subscribed, but they're resenting the way that you're doing it, that's a very, very short-term gain, right? And I feel like a lot of these changes, and another example of this is artifact knowledge, like being able to, like having to place the work orders. Another example is, like, let me think, like there's flying is like kind of an example, but not really. There are the Paragon boxes with like the world quests, and they didn't add those until later on, where people stopped doing world quests, and so they added something else in there to get people to do the same content over again. And that kind of stuff, I really just don't like it. I feel like it's toxic to the game. I feel like it's, in a way, disrespectful for the players because you're just kind of making them do the same thing over again by creating artificial rewards that are compelling enough to where you feel like you have to do it even though you don't really want to. It makes people resent it, and at the end of the day, I really hope that it's something that they don't take forward into Battle for Azeroth. As I said, I just feel like it makes people resent the game. I feel like it's in a way disrespectful for subscribers, and it's just something that I really don't like. And I hope they don't add any more of that. And I know that there are balancing changes that need to happen. And another example of this is like heirlooms, right? Why did heirlooms have to wait until like 7.2 or 7.3 to be released, right? Why couldn't they just put them out whenever Nighthold came out? There's really no reason for that. There's no value in holding heirlooms for that long, except for to artificially extend content and make people feel like they have to level up their characters without heirlooms, rather than with them, right? And I just feel like the whole system and these types of systems, these catch-up mechanisms and quality of life mechanisms, I think they're being artificially and intentionally delayed in order to create more player engagement and make people do things without them first, and then once they reach a breaking point or some sort of like a plateau, that's whenever they add them in for the rest of the people. And I feel like it really makes the people that want to play the game at the beginning resent that. So anyway, that's what I think. But anyway, this change is a very good one, right? It's absolutely a positive change. There are really no negatives to it. I heard somebody bring up the fact that they're not going to be able to buy any more Awakening Essences because all the Legendaries are upgraded. That is something that I'm sure Blizzard is going to fix ahead of time. So I'm glad that criticism has come up, but it's not something that I would really expect to make it to live servers. So I'm sure they'll have a fix for that by the time this change is slated to come out. But I am very glad this is happening. It's kind of ironic that they are making this change, because I remember just today somebody asked me, they're like, hey, do you think they'll add a way to buy Legendaries? I'm like, yeah, no, it's never going to happen, right? They don't care. Expansion's already over. And here we are. So I guess they are going to be doing it, and I think that's a good thing. And for once, I'm very glad to be wrong. So anyway, guys, I'd be very curious to hear what your comments, your questions, basically, like, what do you think about the system? Personally, I think it's a good idea, as I said before. It's just, I wish that, I hope this isn't like another example of them parceling things out until, like, just holding this stuff back for, like, just no reason. It's just so, like, cynical, right? I don't know. I just don't like it. But anyway, I'd definitely be curious to hear what you guys have to say. But that's pretty much all I've got. So thank you very much for watching, and like, comment, and subscribe.